It's Friday today. I'm always in a good mood on Friday. Well, Friday evenings, because I do my exercises during the daytime, which take about 40 minutes. And I don't have to do any more exercises until Tuesday. So I've got all those days of peace and harmony. Whereas normally I'm always thinking about the exercises I have to do because I hate it. It's so painful. Anyway, today I want to talk about one of my girlfriends. A Thai girl, very, very special girl. And we were together for a short time. She wanted me to marry her right from the beginning, but I refused. I said, give it a year and we'll see how we get on. But unfortunately, eventually she caught me having sex with another girl, and that was the beginning of the falling apart of our relationship. Anyway, I'm putting pictures of her in this video so you can see what she looked like. She was quite stunning in her ways. She was a natural born dancer. She only had to see her dance once and she could do the steps. Extremely intelligent. And some of the stories she had to tell me was quite amazing and some quite funny as well. For instance, when she wanted to learn English, she couldn't speak a word of English, you see. She was brought up in the village where there's no English speakers. And she went on the internet and went into one of these chats. As I said, couldn't speak a word of English, and the person would say something to her in English, and then she would look it up in a dictionary. Well, after a short time, maybe 20 or 30 seconds, the person would realise she doesn't speak a word of English and then sign off. And then she would get the next man to talk to. And again, the same thing would happen. She would look in the dictionary, and that's how she got her vocabulary. I mean, that is amazing, absolutely amazing, because when I knew her, she spoke very, very good English. She understood every word I said. Some people are like that, aren't they? They're geniuses, I guess. Got a high IQ. Probably, if I had to guess at her IQ, it would probably be 185. Whereas my best friend years ago, Franco, he probably had an IQ of 250. Anyway, she served me tea. It was tea and cake. I went to this. I went to this tea little cafe, and they had seats outside in the sun. So I sat outside, and she came out looking slim, and I like slim girls, and intelligent as well, slim and intelligent. And straight away we got on really well. So that evening I invited her. I invited her back to my place, and I went. I told her I'd come and pick her up, which I did. I picked her up after work, and took her back to my place. And I made a move, and she became my girlfriend from there on. But she used to tell me some of the stories about her life, and she worked in a factory. She was a workaholic, by the way. She would work beyond the hours that she was paid. Can you imagine 2 hours more than you're paid? And she didn't mind doing that, but with those sort of people who work overtime and don't get paid, eventually they go up to the next level in the management. But she ended up falling in love with one of the fellows there, a Thai fellow, in the factory, and they got married. But like all men, including me, well, most men, not all men, we like to have lovers on the side. And he did too. And eventually she caught him a few times, and she got really, really angry. And she said, finally, she went in search of him, because a lot of these Thai men, they get into gambling. And even the Thai women like to gamble, cards, etc. They're gambler-aholics, I guess you call them. And she found him having a beer with some friends outside this little cafe, Thai cafe, and she went over there, and she said she punched him with her. Oh no, that's what it was. Oh yeah, she punched him first with her elbow, and knocked him to the ground, and then she picked the bottle up, smashed it, and went to attack him with this smashed bottle. But everyone jumped on her and stopped her doing it. And he jumped up, and she said in his little voice, "You're mad!" And he ran off. Well, the divorce followed shortly afterwards because of his drug addiction. He used to sell everything. She came home one day and the TV was gone. They only got an ordinary small TV, nothing special, but it was gone. And so she just had enough. And she went to Pattaya in Thailand, to where I live, Pattaya, and that's where I met her as a waitress. She had quite a few boyfriends before me because she was the perfect woman, a real babe, and a man magnet, I guess. I mean, I certainly felt it when I saw her. I wanted her as my girlfriend. But she couldn't drive. And remember now, she's terribly intelligent. So I had a car at the time, as well as a motorbike. And I said, I'll teach you to drive. So I would drive her to this huge parking area around 7 o'clock at night when it's empty. And she could take her time and learn to drive. That girl was hopeless at driving. And she certainly couldn't back up into a parking space. And I thought that was quite interesting. I'm no good at the things that she can do, all these intelligent things. I'm a complete idiot. And yet, when it comes to driving, I seem to be a natural. And yet she can't do it, no matter how much she tried. We went back every day for, 2 weeks, or maybe even 3 weeks, and she couldn't get it. But anyway, I remember one day we're going along quite fast. I've let her drive because she's got a learner's license. And I had to keep my eye on her because I noticed the car going over slightly to the middle, which is, it's got something right in the middle of the road, the fast road. So I had to grab the wheel and just pull it back a bit. But eventually she went home and I went home with her. We went by car. I got to meet her family. She didn't go home often because they were a long distance away. I mean, Thailand is a big place compared to England. You could put England inside of Thailand and lose it. But her family was quite friendly, and she told me when she was born, the family, all they had was the land, because they're farmers, you see. And they were so poor, they didn't have a house or anything like that. They just had a sheet of plastic, I think, to cover them up, an awning, plastic awning. Nothing special, just ordinary plastic. And that's what they lived under. And remember now, we are talking about Thailand, and you've got big spiders like that. The spiders aren't dangerous, but they can, if they're scared of spiders, they can grab some hair from the back of their body and throw it in your face. And if that gets in your eyes, you could end up going blind, or up your nose. You could end up having terrible problems and dying of it eventually. So, but then they got snakes, you see, and the snakes are very quick. It amazes me how a snake can go so fast run across, well, I say run, but it's as if they're running. I can't believe that they're slithering. I don't know how the hell they do that. But you've got to watch those snakes. They are fast and they're scared of humans, but you never know, if you go to bed and there's a snake in there, it's going to bite you, thinking it's been attacked. That's the only time they attack you, is if they think they're being attacked. Anyway, yeah, can you imagine? I think she said for the first several years, or maybe 6 years, they didn't have a home. Slowly, the farmer managed to get some money from working on the farm, their little bit of land, plot of land, And over the course of a year or so, he managed to build a little home for them. But when I say a home, it's not the sort of home that we would think of as a home. It's more of a large hut, normally made of wood, and if they haven't got any money, they would put corrugated steel on the top. So when it rains, you can hear it on the steel. It's amazing. It always amazes me in Thailand how these girls who are born on farms are so sophisticated. I normally get on with most of the girls I meet in Thailand, and to think they come from a farming background, poverty, absolute poverty, and they're so sophisticated, well-spoken, intelligent, etc. They are very much in line with our middle classes over here in Europe. Anyway, yes, so we went to her home, and she had a daughter. Well, she still has a daughter, of course, but her daughter was about I think 5 or 6 years of age. It's difficult to tell their age because they all Thais. Well, normally the girls are quite petite and small compared to European girls who like to pick themselves at the table. So anyway, her daughter was going to a school not too far away, and we stayed there, I think, possibly for about 5 days. And during that stay, she asked me if I could go and pick the daughter up because she's busy cooking. I didn't really want to do it because coming from England, especially England, where they're very religious. Even though you don't realise you're religious, you are very religious in many ways, especially when it comes to sex and opposite sex, men and women, and especially men and girls. So I didn't really want to go and pick up her daughter because I would feel embarrassed being a man. But then I didn't know how to tell my girlfriend I don't want to do it because she would think I'm stupid. You know, they think totally differently over there. They're not so stupid as we are over here. So I went to their school, and don't forget, I couldn't just go up to any kid because they don't speak English. I parked the car there in the drive, and I walked up to the teachers who were standing there, and there was kids coming out of school at that time, of course, and thank goodness the teachers, they spoke a bit of English. So I didn't know her name, this daughter, because they have funny names, the Thais. Unless you've got a nickname, I can't remember. But I've got a picture of her on my phone. So I showed this picture to the teacher, and she went running off to go and get her from the class. Anyway, all the time I'm worried about being there asking about this girl because, as I said, we're in England, we're made as men to feel really guilty about collecting a young girl from school. So any second, I'm thinking they're going to phone the police and say there's some weirdo here wanting to collect one of our girls. And he can't be the father because she's Thai and he's definitely not Thai. But anyway, she came down, and being so, she was introverted as my sister used to be. My sister's dead now, but she was an introvert, so she was very quiet, and there was no sign from her that she recognised me in any way. I just grabbed her hand and we walked off. It was really weird, the whole thing. But the teachers, they weren't suspicious at all that something bad was going on, which it wasn't, of course. But yeah, we got a lot to learn from the Thais. They're so easygoing, so laid back. It's wonderful, really wonderful. And just a reminder, if you like my videos, please give me a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. Thank you. I remember I went to pick her up once from work, and one time I picked her up in the car. Next time I picked her up with my motorbike, and I left the motorbike there, and I put my helmet on the side of the motorbike, and I'm carrying her helmet. I put mine at the side on the handlebar, and I went off to get her because I was only going to be away from the motorbike for a few minutes. And as we walked back from the coffee shop, I noticed someone had stolen the motorbike. Someone had stolen the helmet, the crash helmet. Well, in those days, the police used to have roadblocks and things and catch people without crash helmets, and you get a fine. So I've lost this helmet, which probably cost me about £30. And she was wearing her helmet, and sure enough, we got stopped by the police, and I'm going to get a fine. And I'm thinking, this is unfair. I've just gone and had my helmet stolen, and now he's going to fine me because I've got a stolen helmet. But she explained in Thai what had happened, and he let us go. I was really surprised. You know, you get good people everywhere, good and bad, don't you? I mean, in the police force, you get bad and good. So we were lucky. We got a good fella there. You know, talking about the police, I remember in the banks there, they have police because the police are allowed to have guns, you see. But these police, they work part-time in the banks when they're not working as a policeman. But they're allowed to have their gun. Anyway, I asked this policeman, I remember now, this is a different story, okay? I asked this policeman how to get to such and such a place. A very handsome fellow, actually. He must have been about 27 years of age. And he spoke a bit of English, so I was surprised. A lot of the police don't. And he was saying how he would love to go to England, etc. It's a pity I didn't get his phone number. I could have invited him over to England. Anyway, I was very silly there not getting his phone number. But can you believe it? This policeman, he said, come on, I'll take you there on my motorbike. So he's supposed to be standing outside the bank, protecting the bank, but instead he led me to his motorbike. I got on the back and off we went. He took me to the address I wanted. Absolutely amazing. That would never, ever happen anywhere else.